how you're saying it's not going to be audio effective because it's going to come through the microphones. That means we have 60 to go.
67 yeah, but some. Yeah.
Shall we get started? Please, let's get started. Are we live now? Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mick Purcell. I'm the head of school at KC High. We're here in the multi-purpose hall in our Olympia Panache Navalur campus. I'm here with Sindhu, deputy head of school, and Malini, head of admissions. Would you like to introduce yourselves, please? Okay, they say I've already introduced them. And thank you for joining us today. I think the purpose of today's open house is for us to give you a brief glimpse into the culture, the school, the campus at KC High, what we do and why, and especially to try to answer any questions that you have, you who are interested in possibly putting your children into KC High. So the format for today is that we will speak and give a short presentation and in about 30 to 40 minutes present to you some of the essential information about KC High. And then we will also take your questions during that time or take some of those questions. And then we have some breakout rooms whereby you can go to see a tour of the school, and also you can see the coordinators, and they will answer some of your more specific questions about our pre-primary programs, our primary program, our middle school program, our high school programs, and also about the admissions process itself. So I guess we'll just get started, and we have a few slides for you. I see that we have people still coming in every minute, so I think we can go ahead and get started, and we'll start kind of slowly, and people can join at their convenience. So we'll start with a very short video about the school.
KC High's new campus is an hexagonal-based structure which allows students to enhance their creativity.
We've seen the kids grow as well as the school grow, and the kind of community that we have built together with the school, it's amazing.
Curriculum is a lot more holistic than others, and it's personally helping me focus on what I want to do in life rather than doing things like science and math.
The learning was fun but still informative, and there was a lot more practical stuff like experiments, especially in the science classes.
Is an open-minded school which allows students to explore, learn, and have fun at the same time.
KC is really home to me. For my kids, it's home away from home, and it's everything that I wanted as a child for school, but my kids are getting it.
KC is a place I look forward to coming every single day. KC is more like my family.
KC is pretty much a way of life over here.
I like KC from the moon and back.
Here, and we see that the founder of the school is Vali Sabaya. She went to study education in the United States and to be a teacher there in the 1990s after a successful career as a teacher here in South India. And she learned about all these new ideas while she was studying in Boston, and she thought, I really need to do something for my home community of Chennai. And she came back and began this after-school activity center and preschool in the late 1990s. And then she handpicked this brilliant board of educators, business people, visionaries, and real thinkers. So you can see that the board, which is a pretty much hands-off board, allows us as the professionals to run the school on a day-to-day basis. These are some brilliant thinkers who provide us with strategy, vision, and direction. And they do include some of the leading thinkers not only in Chennai, but across the country.
ارفعوا ايديكم هذه كم واحد عنده هلا بنحاول نخمن الاحلام الموجودات معنا انا
So
انا متاكد في حد حابب انه يكون غني
can we go ahead? Maybe you can ask somebody to mute there. Yeah.
حابب يكون مليونير وفي حد حابب انه يكون عنده حوشه الخاص حوش مستقل.
Okay, so
وفي حد حابب انه يحصل عمل
the
مناسب
two most important principles of KC High are that we are trying to give a quality education to every single learner in the school. Of course, that includes developing the learner's social consciousness. A little bit about the story of KC High. We started, as I said, as a preschool and after-school activity center. So ideas such as joyful discovering and activities and hands-on activities and practical learning and learning respect and respecting your teachers and learning to work together and sharing is caring, and these ideas are embedded in the culture of the school right from the beginning. And we started with young children, and then we kind of grew up organically. And these two very important drivers of the school, that we want to give a high quality education to each and every child, and that we want to develop the social consciousness of the learners and of the whole school community, are what drive the school forward. Sindhu, do you want to add anything to that?
I think you've said it all, Mick, but also if you notice our motto, care is a big part of that. Care, create, catalyze, collaborate, so all the C's. And we try to inculcate these values right from a very, very young age.
Great, thank you. So you'll see, as Sindhu just mentioned, our motto and our mission and our vision. And I think you can see right from the beginning, there's a focus on learning, on making sure that every child is learning, that learning is active and continuous, and that we're continuously checking on the kids' learning, and that they're learning both academically and social responsibility. Do you agree with that, Melanie? Is your mic working? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you want
I
to add
agree
about
with
that?
you,
Yeah, please.
So as you said, yes, of course, it's about social, emotional, and academic learning at KCI. So Mr. Big rightly said that we do focus on academic learning as well as social and emotional learning.
Thanks, Melanie. So there you see the KC team. These are the coordinators, the academic coordinators, and the admin team here at the Olympia Panache campus. And I think I'll point out that Valley, of course, is the founder of the school, has began the school in the 1990s. Sindhu joined shortly after that. I won't mention the number of years, but I should say that this is a very stable team, that everybody here has been here 5 years or more, except one person's been with us 3 or 4 years. And we know that's important to parents, and we also think that it's important to the school to have a stable team and to retain our teachers and our leadership and our staff. Would you like to add anything to that, Sindhu?
So the staff is the backbone, both the teaching and the non-teaching staff, and we were very happy when we moved from the Arunachalam Road campus that most of both the teaching and the non-teaching staff moved, and we're very happy to continue to be part of this KC community, but at Navalur.
Great. And the next slide, please, Preet. And Melanie, it seems like the non-teaching staff is very stable, that you've been here a number of years, and so have most of the administrators, the finance team, the admissions team, the operations team, the housekeeping and facilities are really well looked after.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm in my 7th year with KC High now, and most of the team has been with me all through these years. And as Sindhu and Mr. Mick said, yes, when we moved campuses from Arunachalam Road to Navalur, most of the members, academic and non-academic, moved with the school. So the school takes a lot of effort, puts in a lot of effort, energy to make sure that the staff stays with the school, and we are all very happy here.
Great, thanks, Melanie. And I think one important point to add about that is there's a lot of training for staff, both the teaching staff and the non-teaching staff. What we've noticed about employees at schools is they love to learn, and they love to continuously grow professionally and to take on new challenges and learn how to take on new challenges. And we do provide a lot of training to staff in every aspect, both in the academic aspects and in terms of pedagogy and how to teach, but also in things like how to manage social and emotional learning, how to promote wellness, how to promote health and safety, how to keep the facilities running smoothly, etc. Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead,
If I might
Sindhu.
add,
Yeah.
in fact, as we speak, all our teachers are engaged in professional development, because today is a PD day as well. So I just wanted to add that, and this is something that we do on a regular basis.
Right, yeah, thanks, Sindhu. Okay, next slide, please. So there's a little bit about the history of the school. As you can see, it's been a 23-year history, and the story of the school is essentially that it started as an idea and as an experiment and as a project, and especially as an after-school activity center where kids would have lots of activities, and they would learn by doing things, not by sitting and listening to teachers, but by getting their hands messy, by playing, by having fun, by being creative, by art and music and song, etc. And what happened was the parents and the kids just loved the school and loved the center. So they kept asking Valley and then Sindhu, please, please, can you make a regular school out of this? And then after they finished first grade, the parents asked Valley and Sindhu, please, can you add second grade? And the school kind of built organically from that. Is that right, Sindhu?
Absolutely. So we started with 1 kid, I remember, and then it became 5 in the preschool. It was a multi-age group. And then Vali and I said, okay, we'll stop with 10. Then it became 13. We said, okay, we'll stop with 20. And the rest is history, I guess.
And now we're at what, about 700, Melanie?
Yeah. I'd just like to add one thing. The biggest strengths of Casey High is that it's grown organically. They've taken their time to add the grade levels year after year, and that's one of the biggest pluses of this school.
Great, thanks. Okay, next slide, please, Preet. So you can see that so as Sindhu said, you know, we started with one kid, then it was 10, then it was 13, then it was 20, and at first it was just a Casey designed curriculum, and it was just a group of thoughtful educators being partners with parents and people coming together and saying, well, what's best for our kids? Let's try that. And it was very experimental and it was very new, but the parents loved it, so it kept growing. But then eventually it became clear that as the kids were getting older, it became important to affiliate with some board or program which could help us and provide us with structure and curriculum, etc. So at that time, we chose the Cambridge Assessment International Education, often called the IGCSEs, as the program for kindergarten through grade 10. And then eventually, as the school grew bigger, we realized that come grades 11 and 12, the best pre-university program available is the IB diploma program, so we added that as well. So now we have this combination of Cambridge from upper kindergarten to grade 10, that is Cambridge Primary, Cambridge Lower Secondary, and Cambridge IGCSE in grades 9 and 10. And then we switched to the IB diploma program in grades 11 and 12. Anything you want to add to that, Sindhu? No? Okay, fine. Next slide. So what is it about this Cambridge IB system in Casey High that makes it different from other schools? Well, as we said, because of our history and our roots and the way we began with active learning and having fun, one of the most important things is classrooms are joyful, they're fun, they're safe, they're intellectually and emotionally safe, so children can speak up, they can speak their minds, they can express themselves without any worry about being humiliated or being made fun of. So the teachers have been trained in these methods to make sure that each classroom is a safe and joyful space. Some of the other things that make this type of learning different is that we do assessment differently. We're not entirely focused on exams. It's true that tests and exams are a part of learning, and they do come along in the experience, especially as kids get older. But we give children many different opportunities to express themselves, to present, to debate, to do experiments, to write papers, to write essays, to act. And all of these types of activities are ways that we can assess how the children are learning, what their children are learning, and how we can better design our future teaching activities. Right, Sindhu?
That's right, Mick. So while we do tests, I mean, we definitely do tests because test-taking skills are important. But as Mick said, we do a lot of formative assessments, and we give opportunities to students to express their learning in different ways.
And I think we should point out as well that all of this is aligned according to international standards, and this is very much research-based education and giving the children the opportunity to express themselves and giving students agency and control of their own education is very much a part of what we would call international standards and research-based education associated with both the IB and the Cambridge programs. And Malini, one thing I should point out is we do get a lot of students coming in from other countries. Is that true?
That's correct.
And how do they find the experience of Casey High?
So I think the team really helps the students transition really well. We have a counseling and a student support services team in place, which works with the students. We do understand that they're relocating from another city or from another country and even from another board. So this is very well taken care of, and even the entire Casey community is very welcoming. So that means the teachers, the students, the non-teaching staff, they all help the family and the child transition beautifully into the system.
Great, thanks. And I think that we see that when students come from other countries, from Europe, from Singapore, from the Middle East, from the US, from Canada, etc., they are pretty happy to find a school like this, right, Sindhu?
So the community is very diverse. So that also helps students transition from different schools, different boards, different countries. And as Malini rightly pointed out, it's a very welcoming community. We often refer ourselves to as the Casey family. So in that sense, yes, kids do tend to settle down into the new school environment pretty quickly.
Right, okay, great. The next slide, please, Preet. So you'll get we'll just guide you through a few slides with some photographs that give you a taste of the Casey classroom experience, which thankfully is returning now, at least in grades 1 through 12, after, of course, a long hiatus, a long gap because of COVID. We're now back in the classroom, and we're all excited about that, the learners especially. So you can see the group work, the activities, children are playing, they're asking questions, they're having fun. These are the two pre-primary programs, one at the Ranjit Road campus in Kottapuram and one here at the Olympia Panache campus in Navalur. Sindhu, you're now teaching mostly grades 11 and 12, is that right? But you have a lot of experience teaching pre-primary, which is a great way for a teacher to get her foundation, by the way.
Absolutely.
So what do you want to add about the pre-primary programs?
So as Malini said, we grew organically, and therefore when we started off the preschool, it just gave the teachers such a good understanding of child development, how children learn. My personal opinion is that if you can teach and engage a group of 3-year-olds, then I think you can work with any group of students. So while I work with high school kids currently, all the experience that I gained from teaching all those pre-primary programs is, it's immense, it's invaluable.
Great, I fully agree with that. Okay, next we're going to look quickly at some of our choices. You can see that in grades 9 and 10 we offer lots of choices, and students do get to choose their subjects beginning in grade 9 according to their interests, both in the Cambridge IGCSE program and in the IB diploma program. We do have some constraints and some rules about what they must choose. For example, we're very intent on children becoming at least bilingual or hopefully multilingual. We think that's a very important part of a child's education in the 21st century. So we do insist that children study a language besides English. We offer Tamil and Hindi and French and Spanish, and I do believe we have a few students studying German as well. And we also insist that children stay with mathematics and with science. We realize that there are some children who prefer the arts and who study the arts, but we want them to be educated citizens who understand science at a basic level as they go into the world and as they go to university. But for the most part, in grades 9, 10, 11, and 12, students do have lots of choices about what they will do. So there you see some of our subject choices. As you can see, there are many options. And it's all there on the website as well. I think, so this slide is about our blended learning program, but hopefully we're growing out of that now. And we did, over the past 18 months, we did a lot of blended learning. We didn't have children just sitting in front of the screens all day. We gave them lots of activities to do at home. And you can see some of the photographs here. The kids really enjoyed the programs. Our parents were very concerned about not too much screen time. So we set up a lot of activities for them, including some learning pods where teachers actually have been going into the homes of some of our families and outdoors as well to meet with some of the learners and in a safe and supervised manner trying to bring some of the KC education into our families' homes. Right, Sindhu?
I think these were very, very successful and gives children the opportunity to socialize, to go outdoors, meet their friends, and just have a lot of fun.
Great. Okay. So now we're back to school. We still have a staggered schedule. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we have grades 4 through 12. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have grades 1 to 3 and grades 9 to 12. We do not have pre-primary and kindergarten back into school yet. We're waiting for approval from the authorities. Hopefully that will come soon. And everybody's so happy to be back at school, and you can see we're doing our best to make sure that all safety protocols are being followed, that students are socially distanced, that they're all wearing masks, that the breeze and the corridors are wide open, and we're outdoors as much as possible. And of course, also we're trying to make sure that we eat safely, and we're being very careful about lunch and making sure that the kids are separated and socially distanced. And of course, we're very careful about bathrooms and who uses which bathrooms, and allowing certain washrooms to be used only by certain bubbles or bio bubbles or clusters of students. So we're keeping the students segregated as best we can. We realize that COVID is still amongst us, and we need to be as safe as possible. Melanie, you want to add anything to that? Okay, can we get the next slide, Preet? So let's look at some of the questions that parents have, and we can both look at some of the questions that we normally get, and we can take some live questions as well, okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat box, to raise your hand, and perhaps we can entertain those questions either through the microphone or through the chat box. What's the next slide, Preet? Yeah, this is good. Okay. So here are some questions that we often get. Do we see any live questions, Preet? Okay. So let's look at the slide of the FAQs there. One of the questions that we get frequently is, how will my child make the transition, especially from an Indian board to such an active type of learning? Will he or she feel intimidated? Will he or she be comfortable? How long does it take to make that transition? Sindhu, what do you want to say in response to that?
I'll just add a few thoughts, Mick, and then maybe you can. I think it also depends on the learner. So I think we can't treat every learner the same. Some children take longer than others. But we are here to support and make the transition comfortable. We have a team of qualified teachers and counselors who also talk to the families, and basically it's 360 degrees, and we get all the stakers involved to make and keep the child central, so that we make the transition smooth for these kids.
Yeah, great. And I think, as you said, as with most things in education, every child is different and different kids have different experiences. But the younger they are, the easier it is for them to make the transition, because we have a style of teaching and learning that's very active, and kids love it. And when they're young in particular, they love the opportunity to get up out of their chairs, to go talk to their friends, to do activities, to get messy, to speak up, to express themselves, to get into debates, etc. And they adapt really quickly. I would say within a couple of weeks, especially if they're in the primary years, they're very happy to be in this environment, in their comfortable t-shirts, a very open and non-intimidating environment. And kids react really well at the young ages. As they get older, it gets a little bit more difficult to make that change, especially since teachers are asking them questions about, well, what do you think about climate change, or what do you think about the situation between India and China? And kids can be a little bit intimidated by these questions. It takes them more like a month, I would say, to kind of open up and to understand this new system of learning.
Absolutely, Mick. So here we encourage students to ask questions, think critically, encourage independent thinking. So sometimes if kids are not used to that in their previous school experience, they can feel a bit inhibited because they're not used to, like they used to possibly copying from the board or taking information directly from one source like the textbook, rather than finding out for themselves. So in that sense, the older they get, they have only that much time at KC to sort of develop those learning skills.
Yes, and I see we have some questions. First of all, thanks for your questions, Gayatri. And Shyam, before I answer Gayatri's question, just let me say, yes, teachers, we do have a mandatory vaccination policy for teachers. And I believe every one of our teachers is fully vaccinated, or there's a couple of teachers just awaiting their second vaccination, and that's it. Yeah. And those teachers that have not yet had a second vaccination are not interacting with students, and it's coming within a week or two. And yeah, Gayatri's question is about the unprecedented time. So how do we, now, it's not just that kids are coming to school from a new board and perhaps copying down questions, but from a whole new experience, especially for a first grader who we would assume has been online for the last year and a half. So how do we make sure that she is going to make the transition smoothly? I think Sindhu's already pointed out some of the things, but I would say that the most important part is that we have teachers, counselors, and an entire team who are very much in tune to each learner and his or her emotions and needs and social situation and friends. So typically we assign a buddy and we pick the right person in the class to be that buddy, and we're constantly monitoring the new students and making sure that they're comfortable and they make the adjustment. And especially, as I say, at these young ages, it happens pretty quickly, right? Malini, do you agree with that?
Yeah, Mr. Mick, I completely agree. And it's, as Mr. Mick said, it's not only about children coming from other schools. It's also our own learners who haven't come to campus for the last 18 months. And we have kids who moved from the Koturpuram campus to Navalur. We just had them come in before Diwali, and it was a new experience for them as well. But I saw that most of the kids were very happy exploring the campus, walking around the campus with the teachers, trying to figure out the spaces. So I guess it's the same for everybody, whether you're coming from another school or if you've been in this school for the last, a couple of years. But it's a new learning experience for all of us. Whether it's the children, the teachers, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a nice new change for everybody.
Yeah, if I may add, so on day one, so we've had the primary kids come in one day because the government said from November 1st, the kids can come in, and subsequently we had the rain holidays. And we had, kids have their names on the t-shirt because they've all grown so tall and they're behind masks. But we're just like so excited. Oh my God, Dhruv, is that you really? So, I mean, it was just so exciting to have these kids back on campus. And I think kids also to see their friends and their teachers. There was one kid, who walked in. I think his parents must have coached him before he got off. He said, I'm looking for Sonia auntie. Where can I find Sonia auntie? I only want to see Sonia auntie. So, yeah.
Remember that Sonia auntie is someone that he would have known through the online meetings, right? And they would have had many, many months of online meetings, and he wanted to see that teacher.
Yes.
And we have seen that where a lot of kids have developed bonds and a particular rapport with particular teachers through the online environment, and then they get so excited when they see them in person, right?
And we didn't have any tears, actually. We were
surprised.
Ready,
we had boxes of Kleenex ready. We were ready with lots of tissues, expecting tears, but no, it was all excitement. And the other thing that was so amazing about the first graders was how well behaved they were.
Oh, yes.
It was pretty amazing. I thought they'd be running all over and tearing their masks off, but no, you know, the excitement of the new place, the new teachers, etc. They sat in their chairs, they did what they were told, and we didn't have any problems with the masks or the social distancing, etc. They followed all the rules.
Protocols, yes.
So I see we have a couple more questions about the school's inclusive policy and how inclusive is the school. I'll take that one, I guess. And then also a question about how many batches of 12th graders have we had and where have they gone to university? Those are simple questions. I'll take the first one. Maybe Sindhu or Melanie, you can take the second one. So how inclusive in the school is the school? We try to be inclusive, but it's a pretty tough question to answer. We do have kids with learning disabilities. We have a process, and at admissions, we have a very clear process, and we insist that the parents are honest with us about any learning disabilities or any testing or psychological reports that have come to the parents, and then we try to make an assessment if we can accommodate the needs of this particular child. We want to be inclusive. We have a team of inclusive educators. We have some kids who have special learning disabilities, but we also are a highly academic school, and in particular at grades 9, 10, 11, and 12, we are only offering the Cambridge IGCSE and the IB Diploma program, which are extremely rigorous academic programs. So if we can meet the needs of the child, we will discuss it honestly with the parents and try to come to an understanding about whether this school is a good fit for that particular child. I will say that the younger the child, the more likely it is that we can meet the needs of this particular child, because with early interventions, we can put into place structures and strategies and tips to help the child develop if she or he has a learning disability. Okay, anything you want to add to those?
No, Mr.
I hope that answers that question. Next, about how many batches we've had and where they've gone to university. Sindhu or Melanie?
I think you can take that question.
Yeah, so there's our website, and you can see the places there. We've had 2 batches.
2 batches, yeah.
And they've both done very well in terms of, I think, go ahead, Sindhu, yeah.
No, I was just going to say our first batch graduated. We had a graduation ceremony online. This was 2020. And there you go, class of 2020. And then we had the second batch graduate in May 2021. And of course, there's the class of 2021. Oh boy, I miss those kids.
Yeah, the batches are much bigger now. We had 9 kids our first year, 10 kids our second year. Now we've got 26, I believe, and it's going to be 30 or higher from now on. About their universities, yes, they've gone to some excellent universities, but I think what I'm most proud of are really 2 things. First of all, we've been able to help each and every child achieve his or her dreams about where they want to go to school. It's not so much about trying to get to the highest ranked university as it is about trying to find a good fit for each and every child, depending on what she wants to do, where she wants to go, what he wants to study, which program he wants to go to, etc. Many of them, you know, have family in this country or in that country, and they want to go to a particular place, and we've been able to help them achieve those dreams. And I would say that's because we have an outstanding university guidance department, and especially our lead counselor, Soju, has just been so dedicated to meeting with each and every child and trying to understand that child's desires and that child's dreams, and talking to the child, not always the parents, but trying to understand what does the child want. And by helping the kids in that scenario, I think we've been able to do a fantastic job of placing the kids at university. What do you think, Melanie?
Completely agree. Completely agree. I think, as Mr. Mick rightly said, it's not only about going to the best schools, it's about finding the right fit for the child, and it's really important to know what the child wants. Where does the child want to go? What are the child's aspirations? And Soju has been doing a great job in that space. So the department is excellent. And kids, and I think the last 2 batches, most of the children, or I should say all the kids have gone to their dream schools.
I think also about which countries. India, the United States, Canada, Singapore, Spain, Switzerland, the UK, and I'm missing a couple. I did mention Spain. We've had a couple kids go to Spain. Yep. And I would say India is becoming a more and more likely destination as time goes on, especially because, first of all, people don't want to be too far from home with all this COVID and all these things going on. But secondly, because we're seeing a bunch of Indian universities that are sprouting up across the country that have this really excellent approach and new, modern, international standards. So we've got kids at Ashoka University and Plaksha University and Kriya University. They're really enjoying this experience. Okay, we still have more questions rolling in, and then we'll pretty soon get to the school tour, right? At what grade do the assessments begin? And apart from tests and exams, I think I mentioned a little bit about what type of assessments, but go ahead, Sindhu. What other types of assessments? Thanks, Akshaya.
When you say at what age, are you talking about the so-called exams, semester end exams, if I might just...
I would guess so, but I mean, we can just answer that and say that assessment is a part of learning, right? And even when we have kindergarten kids trying to do a puzzle, you know, we ask them, well, do you think that piece should go over here or should go over there? And that's all part of the learning process, right?
Because it gives us feedback. So assessment is basically to give us feedback to see, hey, whether we need to challenge the child, or we need to tone it down. Do we need to repeat? You know, does the learner need more practice? So assessments are done in different formats. There's a lot of differentiation that happens. If you're talking about written exams in exam-like conditions, it happens more from middle. But of course, when school was online, we didn't do so much for the middle schoolers. But we start doing a little bit of that for middle school because in grade 8 they have something called a checkpoint. And high school, of course, they do have end of semester tests that they take. And because, again, these are board years and board programs, so we do get them ready for that. But in younger grades, it's not, you know, a pencil to paper test.
Yeah, thanks. And we have some questions about the bus and kids coming from faraway places like Kilpauk. Melanie, would you like to handle that? And especially the young kids, how are they doing on the bus?
So we have transportation from almost all parts of the cities, and we have kids coming from as far as Annanagar. I think the kids are very happy on the bus. Of course, the travel time is a little longer from Annanagar or even from Nungambakam, that side of town. But I think the kids are mostly happy. They enjoy their time on bus. They're chatting with their friends. Some of them are listening to music. Some are just taking a short nap. Some of them are reading a book. So I think the travel is absolutely fine, and kids are doing well on the bus.
So initially, yes, from Annanagar we didn't have a bus, but subsequently, you know, we have about 9 routes, possibly adding a couple of routes soon. Because the kids, you know, all the kids leave very early from home, we do offer breakfast, you know, at the cafeteria besides lunch. So that helps as well. So parents just, you know, help the kids board the bus, and then they're taken care of from breakfast through their, you know, learning, then lunch, and a little snack before they board the bus and get back home. Usually it's the parents who are a bit anxious about the time spent on the bus, but as Malini said, I too take the bus. I've seen how children are. They really love it. And kids who stay close by. I know Mick often talks about his daughter Sophie, because usually she just needs to walk into school, and she says, why can't I be on the bus, you know? So they love it.
They seem to have a lot of fun on the bus. And we've been, again, pretty impressed with the resilience of the kids and how much they enjoy the bus time and how they play together and use that as friendship and bonding time. I know we have a question, and we're going to get on.
I'd just like to
Go
add
ahead,
one
please,
more thing
Moni.
about the transportation. We don't have door-to-door pickup points. We have centralized pickup points on all the routes. That's mainly done to reduce the travel time on the bus. So that whichever is the closest pickup and drop-off point for your child, we will let you know once you sign up for the bus service, and that's where the child will have to be got to board the bus and picked up from that point. And the transportation services are only offered grade 1 upwards. We do not offer any transport for the pre-primary grade levels.
Okay, I see Manoj has 2 daughters, I presume, moving from London, and he's a bit worried about how they'll make the transition. I think I kind of described that earlier, but what we've noticed, Manoj, sorry to have to tell you this, but the kids do just fine. It's the adults that have had a bit of difficulty making the adjustment, especially those who've been working abroad for many years and coming back to the work environment here and everything. But we found that mostly because the school uses international standards and uses friendly methods, that the children really love the school and the children make the transition pretty quickly. Oftentimes their parents have a little bit more difficulty making the transition, and especially getting used to those work hours that we have here in India. So I don't think there's too much for your daughters to worry about there, Manoj. Our IBDP scores accepted for entrance examinations in India, like the JEE, the JEET, and so if you want to get admission to the traditional engineering and medical colleges in India, those children still need to take those particular exams. That, in addition to the IB diploma program, is a big burden, and it is a big challenge for the students, and we should be clear about that. Having said that, the Association of Indian Universities has recognized the IBDP, and it is an accepted qualification, but they still need to take the exams that are specific to the engineering or medical programs in India, right? Or law, yes. And
Can you please advise if the child can choose
Spanish
in grade 9 without any prior experience?
Probably not. Balaji, grade 9, we have Spanish as a second language. It expects the child to have some experience with Spanish before they come into grade 9. So the best opportunity would probably be to stay with an Indian language if you already have been studying one, such as Hindi or Tamil, or to begin Spanish in grade 11, and we do make some exceptions for students in that situation. Does the school have a mentorship model? Why don't we just answer that one and then move on? We still have some more monitoring about, we have a lot of questions about library facilities, visual arts. You'll get to see that on the school tour, great. And yeah, I'll just say real quickly about Akshaya's question. What is the reason behind the switch to the IB after grade 10? Why not continue with actually it's the A levels, or start with the IB earlier? Well, we're very clear about what we want to do, and we like Cambridge, and we like the Cambridge program, which we began with and which we have through grade 10. We think it's excellent. We're going to stay with it. We like the end of grade 10 exams that Cambridge gives us. Those of you who know about the MYP realize that only recently they've come around to something called e-assessments, which are a little bit vague and fuzzy. We like the fact that you have some grade 10 exams and that kids are coming into grade 11 with a good foundation in terms of knowledge and skills that are particular to the subjects they are interested in. So we like Cambridge. We're going to stay with it. Having said that, we realized that the IB diploma program is the best pre-university program available, that it does challenge kids more, that it does do a great job with academic writing, research skills, learning how to write essays, thinking about knowledge, thinking about where knowledge comes from and how knowledge is constructed. That is a great pre-university preparation program, especially for kids who aspire to go to some of the best universities in the world. So that's why this match works for our school community. We realize there are other school communities which may prefer to be all Cambridge or all IB, but this match works for us. And we're happy with it, and we're going to stick with it. Right, Sindhu? Okay, so how young? We have children as young as 1, actually. About the policies of wearing masks, yes, I think you saw in the photographs that children are wearing masks, and we're being very strict about enforcing those rules, even the first graders. Great. Manoj, we'll look forward to meeting you when you come to London, and I hope that your children will be very happy. I think they will. And after-school sports sessions. Cindy, you want to say anything about that? Yes. The short answer is yes, we do a lot of sports after school.
Yes.
And we do have teams, and of course it's all up in the air now because of COVID, and a lot of the tournaments have been postponed, but we're doing our best. You see one more question there, Melanie?
About the visual arts program for grades 11 and 12.
Yes, we do have visual arts for grades 11 and 12. It's a fabulous program, and you know, my son went through IB visual arts, and the way it stimulated his thinking and his creativity and got him excited for university, and the way he had the skills that were necessary for him to be successful at university in the arts through the IB diploma program in visual arts, it was absolutely brilliant. And you know, when you come to campus, which hopefully we'll be able to do pretty soon, and when you take a tour of the campus, you will see how much creativity and how much passion there is in the visual arts program. Yeah, about teachers and teacher training. Do we have psychology and business management? We have excellent teachers in both those subjects, more than one. They're very well trained. We have a very, very thorough screening and selection process for our teachers. And then I think we spend a lot of time on that, Sindhu. And then I think we do a lot to ensure that the teachers are well trained and that they're happy. Actually, happy teachers are a very, very important part of a school. If you have a happy teacher, you have a happy classroom generally. And
a happy principal.
And happy parents. You forgot the important link in that chain. You have happy teacher, happy kids, happy parents, then you have a happy principal, okay? And we try the best we can to keep our teachers. And that's why we're very careful when we're recruiting our teachers about their long-term plans. And we're also very careful about allowing them the opportunity to grow professionally and to be excited about their profession and to continuously learn.
Absolutely, and we also do a lot of exercises around the culture of the school, because when Vali started, she has a vision and the philosophy. So even when new teachers come, even for the teachers who've been here for very many years, constantly there are these exercises to understand the culture of the school, how we, the teaching, learning, the kind of language we use when we communicate to learners, how to be positive role models. So there are lots of exercises around those as well.
Right, a lot of exercises around communication, feedback, establishing a safe and joyful classroom environment, the importance of the classroom environment. So most teachers find it's a real refreshing and learning experience to work here. And then when they're learning about, oh, how do I do that? How do I make this classroom so joyful, so safe? What are the techniques I need to learn? They find it a very interesting stage in their professional development. Yes, Malini?
That's correct, Mr. Mick. I think there was a question about psychology and business management, Preet.
Right.
That
So
could be the last question.
yeah, we do have excellent teachers in those areas. Those are both very popular areas for our learners, particularly in grades 11 and 12, and in business in grades 9 and 10. We do not offer psychology in grades 9 and 10, but Cambridge is considering adding that course. But we do have excellent teachers, 3 business teachers, 2 psychology teachers. They're absolutely brilliant, okay? All right, well, let's see, let's take one last question. I believe that's Saktavel, yeah?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Saktavel.
Yeah. Can you please share us some idea on how Casey will be unique in identifying the qualities of the kids, the uniqueness of the kids, so that it will be useful for their growth?
Sure.
Can I repeat the question?
No, I understand the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Sindhu? How old are your kids, Saktavel? Do you have one or more than one?
No. She is just getting into LKG. Just
Okay.
I want to know how Casey will be unique in identifying the quality of the kid.
Right.
The interest of the kid, yeah.
So I would say from a young age, teachers are very attentive to the unique abilities and the unique interests and the special talents and skills, and also the areas where kids are struggling in terms of their learning profile. So we do actually map from year to year. We have these vertical meetings where teachers of one year discuss the kids coming into their classrooms with the teachers of the previous year. And then by the time we get to grades 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we start doing a lot more of these formal assessments and looking at things like their reading grade level, exactly what reading level are they at, their mathematics ability, are there any special disabilities or any things we need to be concerned about? Is there a special talent where we might need to challenge the child? So we do have some children, for example, that are precocious in mathematics, and we've put into place some special programs for them. Are there any special talents in the arts, painting or drawing or music that need to be cultivated, etc.? What do you want to add, Sindhu?
So one is keen observation skills by the facilitators. 2 is we give ample opportunities for students to dabble with the different disciplines. Besides the math, science, the language arts, so music, visual arts, they all carry equal weightage. So visual arts, music, movement, drama, they're all part of the curriculum for primary, and of course in middle school they choose. And middle school we also have something called electives, where we offer a range of courses from MoneyWise, which is on financial literacy, to ultimate frisbee, to table tennis, to robotics. So these also, you know, sort of, you know, will tell the adult, hey, and help them notice some special talent a child might have. And besides these, of course, I'm sure lots of kids might do other things outside of school. So we give opportunities for the students to come and share these as well, sometimes in a bigger platform during assemblies, or they come and they become the teacher and teach those skills to the students. So we've had older kids during lockdown, you know, form clubs like the press clubs. So they design the curriculum and the lessons for younger students, and they ran these things. So there are plenty of opportunities that we try to give for students to showcase their unique qualities, talents, and all of that.
Yeah, thank you. I do agree that all these things are practiced in almost all schools nowadays, since it is very highly competitive. But my question is on the uniqueness of Casey. Yeah, I do agree. All these things are practiced in all the schools today.
Well, I would say one place where we're very unique is that we certainly work with parents, coaches, teams, outside facilitators, and we do a lot of, we're very flexible. So for example, we have some athletes who are nationally ranked swimmers, nationally ranked squash players, etc. And they need quite a bit of flexibility and personal coaching within their timetables so that they can spend sometimes 4 or 5 hours per day at the beginning of the day in the pool or playing squash, etc., so that they can go and join these sports tournaments. And sometimes we support them in these sports tournaments as well, and we do provide that sort of flexibility. So thanks for your question. Okay, I think it's time for the school tour, right? And thank you very much for your participation. It's been great to see all those questions, and yeah, how many, it's good, I'm glad you're getting specific questions. I would say we have at least 20 kids in the IBDP business management courses, and I would say probably at least 6 or 7 in psychology.
And for specific questions, they can get into the breakout rooms, Mr.
Yeah, in the specific questions, especially if they're about things like TOK and CAS, you can ask those specific questions in the breakout rooms that are for the IB diploma. Many of our parents have children who are, 3 or 4 years old, so in those breakout rooms, we will be able to answer the more specific questions. Thanks very much for your participation. It's been great to see all these questions, and thanks a lot for your attention and your time this morning. Melanie? Okay. All right, Sindhu's going to take over with the school tour now.
Thank you.
The cognitive abilities testing. Now that's still an experimental. It's okay, but we do a lot of screening.
Start with the entrance. Nobody taking some. Okay, yes, great. Can you hear me? Great. Nobody's talking. Can someone say hello?
Yeah, hi there.
Yeah, awesome. Hi. Awesome. Hi. Thank you. Okay, so just give me 2 seconds and then I'll be at the entrance and we can start from there. Breathe, come on. Keep up. All right. Okay, so here we are. We'll just go this way. This side? Okay. Hello, Bhaiya. I'm glad there's some sun today. You want to show the building from this side, Preet? All good? Yeah, super. 7:30, Bhaiya, usually? Yeah. But right now, post-COVID, it's a little late because we haven't started offering breakfast as yet. So the start is only at 8:30, so the kids come in by 8:15 or so. But typically, the school otherwise, starts around 8:15, and kids start coming in by 7:30, 7:45, and they make their way to the cafeteria where they sit down for breakfast. So this is how they enter. And these days, of course, things are a little different. Buyers, the nurse, they're all, they check the temperatures. They make sure the kids have filled up what's called a self-declaration, which talks about have they traveled recently, did they use public transport, so on and so forth. This is, so if you had come to campus, this is where you would have possibly waited, to talk to someone, to talk to Malini about admissions and so on. Someone had asked about soccer and other games. So these are some of the trophies that the kids have won in the past. You can also see some outdoor trips that our students have been to. So these are some high altitude trips. Rishikesh, this was at off Karwar, which is 4 hours from Goa. Our arts program. So this was in collaboration with another school that had initiated it during lockdown. So each child, as part of the visual arts program, made a small square panel which was put together by the school, and then it was made into a quilt. But then we made a digital art of what our kids had done, and we sort of put it up here. This way, please. So if you have any questions and you want me to pause somewhere, just feel free. So we have faculty rooms everywhere, so lots of eyes to make sure kids are safe. So this is the pre-primary area. And typically, so the pre-primary kids are not yet back on campus because we do not have the government permission to do so. But a typical classroom has furniture of this height. It can be, these are 2 tables put together. They can make different formations. Each child gets a cubby. They put in their footwear, their learning material, and all of that. Sometimes they, spill over here for activities. They have
Sorry, Preet, quick question. Yeah, hi.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Manoj. A simple question. What's the main difference between your Mangalore campus and the Kottapuram one in terms of infrastructure? Obviously, we can be only on one of the campus doors now, so I'm just trying to understand.
Right. So Ranjit Road was one of our, that's where we started the school. So we have 5 pre-primary programs there, starting with the UNME program. So the UNME program is basically a parent and child program. So that's where you have kids, from 9 months onwards coming there. So it caters to a lot of families who live that side of town. And here at the Navalur campus, we don't have all 5 programs. For example, we do not have the toddler program or the UNME program, But we do have the pre-primary, the so-called LKG and UKG. Here we call it flighty frogs and bright bunnies. And we have families who live, in these parts, come into this campus. But typically the curriculum, the teacher training, all of that is the same. Does that answer your question? But in terms of infrastructure, so in terms of the infrastructure, that is only for pre-primary. But Navalur, of course, you have from pre-primary all the way to grade 12.
Definitely.
And this is
Thank you.
And this is the outdoor play area for pre-primary. So you might ask, hey, do we have like a pool? This never has water in it, but we use for other things. For example, things as, students with tubes have made, little mazes, for example, created a road map. Sometimes, with parents, they've engaged in some fun activity, but this never has water in it. We don't have Wi-Fi inside the restroom. Do you have mobile data? Yeah. I'll just show you the restrooms as well. So these are the restrooms specifically designed for pre-primary. So you will see that the pots are at a low level. The wash basins are at their height. Also because they can come and, independently and, wash themselves after a messy activity, before eating a snack and so on. But having said that, they are monitored 24/7. There's always an adult with them because safety is our highest priority. And I'll just take you to some of the classrooms, like maybe one primary, and then I'll show you the library. Somebody wanted to know about the library. Okay, so this is, are you showing the Kund? Yeah. So this is the Kund. So Kund means basically where, people come together for a gathering. I think it used to be water source or something like that. But we do our assemblies here. Kids sit and write poetry. Sometimes math lessons happen. When the weather is great, they come here at 12 and then they do, exercises on shadows possibly. So this area lends itself beautifully to so many different activities. We've had evening music programs, especially in December. Chennai is just awesome. So this space is very, very special. A lot of learning happens here. We've got across there. I'll just see. So you will notice that, all our have unique names, so it can be confusing at first. But this is very recent. I think the day they came, they did something on Diwali. I think that's grade 1. Maybe this class, Leaping Lions. Okay, so Leaping Lions is typically a grade 2 class. So we have cool cats, we have leaping lions, dynamic dolphins, we have galloping gazelles. These are all primary years. And even for middle, although it's 6, 7, and 8, it's 6 seasons, 7 sails, 7 seas. So even for sections, we like to have these interesting names. So this is how a typical primary classroom looks like. So you'll see there's a difference in furniture as well. These are those trapezoid tables, which again lends itself beautifully to collaborative learning. So you can put it together to form a hexagon, or you can just, make it one large rectangle if you needed to. And you can see that the kids have already got their cubbies. They've been here one day. So they've got their own cubbies. This is Arjun, so he has a little folder. So sometimes he might put work in progress worksheets in there. He's got a clipboard. And this is to put soccer shoes or, non-marking shoes for badminton. And if they have a bag, they leave it in here. And you'll also see lots of posters on, wearing masks, social distancing. You should. This is what the teachers. This is really cute. This is a Cool Cats classroom. Cool Cats leopards. mask on and we are still angirkilla baya. Time we are running late baya. Thank you. So we have artworks of kids splashed all over the school, all over the walls. They take pride, they like to see their work, put ups, and the visual arts program is very, very strong at KC. This is another classroom. This is the dynamic Dolphins classroom, that's grade 3. We have a little spill out play area here as well. So some of the classes opens out into these play areas. This just has a little monkey bar and swing. Thanks, Priya. And we have adequate number of restrooms on all floors on either side. This is the cafeteria. So we have staggered time for students to come and have their breakfast and lunches. Breakfast usually they do come depending on which bus comes in at what time, but lunch is staggered. Typically the primary students come in earlier. Right now, so we started with high schoolers being back on campus from September. And then we started, offering lunch services for them maybe about a month ago. And since then, we've also had primary and middle schoolers come in. So from next week onwards, we plan to offer lunch for these students as well. And again, we've ensured that there's social distancing, and we've created staggered timetables for these kids to come and enjoy their lunch. So the lunch is prepared by a committee. So this committee consists of a group of both parents and teachers, and they also have experts, nutritionists on that team. So they designed the menu for the week. Okay, for the week, and this is shared with parents ahead of time. That, of course, as you can see, is the basketball court and the football field. And beyond the football field, we have an open area, which is also used for, we have cricket nets as well. That side is used for volleyball. We also, kids also alternate on this field. And those, the yellow buses, those are the KC buses. So this is the media center. So here you have both, like an ICT lab, and you have books. So so kids can come here to just work independently, to do research work. Sometimes they do sessions here. Sometimes they just come to browse, pick up a book and read. So we try to make it as comfortable as possible. So if you just look at the design of this as well, we have these cushions, mattresses on the floor. We have lots of bean bags that we put out. And then we also have a little sort of an enclosed space. So if kids want to sit and do some self-study, they can do that as well. any questions so far? Anything on the chat box? Okay. So now I'll just take you to, the labs, the art room. This is the counselor's room. Here we have a separate so that if kids want to just, chat, having a bad day, or they want to talk to the counselor about something, they just come here and, have a conversation. So from grade 5 onwards, we have individual desks like these. For students, yeah. Show them all the artwork. So this is the art room for primary school. There's lots of, so we do lots of trips, at least we used to before COVID, around, art. The kids have gone to the Cochin Biennale, on an art immersion trip. We've tried to do some of those virtually, and hopefully very soon they will, more of these trips will actually happen, because we have Dakshin Chitra, which is close by. They do lots of interesting activities. This is the biology lab. So from middle school onwards, all sciences take place in labs. So sometimes they come to the biology lab, sometimes the physics, sometimes the chemistry labs. And once in a way, the primary school kids also, come. Mostly they do it in the outdoors. They do explorations and experiments outdoors, but there are times when they also, they, just for a change, they like to come here and work on some experiments. This is the Tamil room. So we have lots of collaborative breakout spaces. So kids can sit anywhere. So if they have a self-study hours, for example, especially high school, because they choose their subjects, it's possible they might have some self-study hours. So they come, they sit in the corridors. That's a faculty room. They sit in the corridors, sometimes at these tables. You'll also notice that we have these TT tables on all corridors. So sometimes between classes as well, they just like to come and, play for a few minutes. It, helps them just expend their energies and get their focus back before they jump into their classrooms. We have a lift, but students do not use the lift. It's only used, let's say a child has an injury or something like that, but otherwise kids are not allowed to use the lift. I think somebody had a question, I just heard it. Maybe. This is the activity hall. So it lends, again, it's a multi-purpose hall. So it lends itself to many things. Sometimes it becomes a classroom. Sometimes, for drama, we use the space for gymnastics. So gymnastics is another program we offer, as part of the curriculum, just like football and basketball, TT. So as you can see, we have lots of these gym mats. So they come out every time the kids have class. We have some, tumbling equipment as well in the beam. As you can see there. 7 seals, 7 sails, grade 8 octaves, grade 8 orbits. It's a really nice painting, Tanvi. Quite striking, no? It's simple, but it's striking. Okay, so I'm just going to take off my footwear before I enter the music room. So this is a music room, and it's acoustically, this is soundproof, and we have a recording studio and a console room as well. So sometimes, just not music, sometimes they're also working on plays or some presentation in their classroom. So if they want like a room to come and record, they use that room. Next, I'll take you to maybe the movement and the secondary art space. Then we'll go maybe to the seminar hall. This is a dance studio. So the dance studio is typically just an open space, but it's got all these mirrors. So kids can sort of watch themselves move and, make corrective actions and all of that. So we have two art studios. This is Art Studio 2, and it's used by the secondary school students. Maybe you could take this, yeah. These are some of the works by our students. I think this is IG2. That's grade 10. Some works here as well. There.
Can you go on the menu, lunch menu?
Lunch menu, sure. So typically, there are about 3-4 items on the menu. I could just maybe read out from last week's if that will be helpful. Menu. Let's look at what the menu is. For the week before last. This is the seminar hall. So here again is a multipurpose hall. Kids come here for drama, presentations, when we have guest speakers. So it also lends itself for multi-age groups, multiple grades to come and gather in one place. Okay, I'm trying to pull out the menu now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so on Monday, 1st of November, there was chapati / pulka. There was some beetroot poriyal, some rasam rice, some curd rice, and there was some gravy with it. On Tuesday, there was puri. This is just the lunch menu. Huh? Puri, that was chana, there was lemon rice and curd rice. Then on Wednesday, that was a Diwali special menu. They had fulka, dal tadka, paneer tikka and skewers. They had veg biryani, papri chaat, and gulab jamun. See, the whole idea of offering lunch is for students to sit together, eat the same thing and all of that. But right now, post-COVID, we've not made eating in the cafeteria mandatory. But otherwise, yes. These are some of the classrooms for high schoolers. So even this, actually the kids have put these couches and all of that. So this desk again, if you see, this is designed by us. We had a local vendor make it. It's slightly bigger. So the usual desks we get are not this large, but we realize, the taller the kids are, the more books, the bigger books they have, it needs to be bigger. So this actually, the material and the design and everything, it's very unique to our school. And if you see, it's all open. So then we know if the kids have messed it up, and then we have to say, hey, clean up your desks. Running late, I think. No, it's 11. The physics lab, and next to that, we have the chemistry lab. And this is all, as per school standards. We have an emergency shower, a fume cupboard, all of that. So if kids get something into their eye, they can wash it off immediately.
Hello, sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Balaji. So do the science classes happen in the lab?
Yes, they do. From middle school upwards, they happen only in the labs. That is from grade 6 upwards. So it also becomes a badminton court otherwise. So you can see the markings. And classes happen here as well, especially now with, when we need to do adequate social distancing and all of that. We use this space a lot. Do you have questions about the campus? Should take it outside. Nani is also talking.
Sorry, one more question. Do the students bring the own laptop?
So from grade 6, so even before COVID, we used to ask students from middle school upwards to bring their own laptops on certain days. So from grade 6, what we do is the first term through Common Sense Media, kids have to, understand how to use it. They have to get certified and all of that. And from term 2, they would start bringing, but not every day. So they would bring it only on certain days. For example, if they had a class on graphic design, or sometimes filmmaking where they needed to do some editing. So certain days they would be required to bring. So now that school has started, I know, for example, grade 6, they have to bring in their laptops every Wednesday, so on and so forth. And there are specifications as well in terms of what are the kind, we do make some recommendations. What are the kind of laptops that are, that the kids need to use. So it was very useful, because our kids were already savvy, on how to use laptops, and already had a device. So it was a big blessing when we moved, into this whole online, forum. So it really helped, families, because at least if their child was in middle or high school, already had a device.
What is the student to teacher ratio for second?
So it would be 5:1.
Do you have CCTV cameras and feedback in classrooms?
Yes, we do. In all classrooms and corridors. You can just show them some cameras. Yeah. There's one right above our head also. Yeah. No questions? Okay. Can you show some of the artworks, because I think some parents were asking. No, earlier about just our arts program and all of that. So now they can go into their breakout rooms. Is that the plan, Preet?
Are kids allowed to bring non-veg food?
Normal?
Non-veg food. Are they allowed to bring?
So because kids are from, various countries and all of that, we have Koreans and all of that, what they would do is they would bring a little side, to have along with the lunch that we serve. Or sometimes what they'll do is they'll bring it as snacks. So snack we are supposed to bring. And you know how, they like to bring really exciting things. So earlier we had things like Lay's, chips, all that is a no-no, right? So we say too much chocolate cookies, but sometimes we say, okay, you've not brought it for a very long time. As a one-off thing, yes. But otherwise, they're not allowed to bring junk food. And kids who love their non-veg, they try to bring some for snacks sometimes, because they know that lunch is going to be vegetarian.
So do you have an adequate number of sockets to reach our laptops around school?
Yeah, sure. Shall we show some sockets? Maybe just the classroom, or even here, or there. Go to the classroom better. Yeah. To one of the classrooms. Yes, we do. So That's something that when we did the electricals for the building, we were very particular that we had enough electrical sockets. Don't you have something to say about that? Make feels we need to have many more, right?
We have enough.
Yeah, but we have enough, absolutely. So for the labs, it's on the, maybe lab also I can show here. It's on the counter, but we can show the classroom as well. Answer any more questions, please, in the meantime. No swimming pool. Swim team, yes, we do. Because lots of kids train outside and all of that, and then we take part in, tournaments, so all the switch points you can show them. And then there's lots coming from here also. So swimming, coming back to swimming, yes. So for example, some of the popular tournaments, like the Lady Andal swim meet, right? So lots of the kids have taken part in those. And then of course at the national level, we have some swimmers, at the school currently. In fact, one of the kids, she won her first medals at the national level 2 weeks ago at Bangalore. She's in grade 6. So we have soccer team wherever possible. It's nice for the kids to encourage each other, and the whole planning, the discipline around the sport. So we have soccer team, we have basketball, we have a girls soccer team, which is just like awesome. They won their first tournament 2 years ago. They were ecstatic, we were excited. And then gymnastics, we have, a whole group of kids, in gymnastics. I think, okay, sorry, my husband had to drive me down here today. I think he's playing basketball. In case you're wondering who's playing. And then cricket, yes, cricket teams as well. And sometimes we do fun events on Saturday morning where we invite parents to come and, play. Sports day, we have parents competing. Oh my God, it's just like, they're so competitive. It's unbelievable.